Welcome to the IDEC video on conducting research using the IDEC website. In this video, we will examine how to use IDEC's data systems to collect your own research data. The first topic we will cover is to think about the things that we need to do before we collect any data on the website. How do we need to prepare ourselves? And then next, we will actually talk about how you go about collecting data on the website. And we'll cover a couple of free versions and then also some not free versions. So, before you start collecting data on the website, you have to remember that we collect data to answer questions and or to test theories. We don't collect data just for the sake of collecting data. For the next couple of slides, we're going to use an example. We are going to ask how many children travel more than 30 miles a day to school. And our theory being that children who travel more than 30 miles per day stay in reading recovery longer than those who don't. So now that we have our questions and theories all laid out, it's time to determine which data we want to collect. And our theories and questions will help you determine which data we are going to be collecting. It's also helpful at this point, once you figure out which questions and data you want to collect, to actually take a moment and go back and look over what data is already being collected by IDEC. This way you don't duplicate any data that's already being collected on the website. One question we need to ask, because our theory is examining how far children are traveling to school, we need to ask how many miles does the child travel per day to school? And then our theory conjectures that those children who travel more than 30 miles a day are staying in reading recovery longer. So it would make sense to also have data about the number of weeks their lessons lasted and how many lessons the child had. Now the good news is the last two questions on there are already being collected on the exit data page for each child. So we don't need to recollect that data again. The only new data teachers will have to enter is question number 1. How many miles does the child travel per day to school? So now we know our theories, we know which data we are collecting. The next step is to start writing some instructions that you can hand to your teachers that will tell them where and what data to enter. And you can have your teachers enter this data. It doesn't have to be you, but they need to know what to do. What I recommend is that you create some simple data entry instructions, and this can be a Word document with some screenshots on it that you can just print off and hand out to people. It's very important that everyone does it the same way. You've probably heard the old adage, garbage in, garbage out. So if everyone's doing something different, the information that you'll get back out from it is not going to be of any use to you. The other thing we have to do is to remember to set aside any personal bias. We all have feelings. We all want our theories to be right, but we can't let that cloud our judgment, especially when we start analyzing the results. So, in general, be prepared to be wrong, surprised by your data, or even a little let down by your results. But that's okay. Even if your results contradict your theory, you've still learned something. And, you've once again have probably heard the phrase, we learn more from our failures than our successes. And your data will always lead you to more questions than answers. And that's just the nature of research. It's an ongoing process. You get your answers, but then usually those answers lead you to more questions. Alright, so how do we go about collecting data? So we're going to talk about 3 methods. We'll talk about a couple free methods, then what I call a not free method, and then another not free method where you can collect data by the phone. Alright, so our free methods. For students currently in reading recovery or students who are currently in this current school year, you can use the site-specific page on the website to collect your data. For students who were served in reading recovery in previous school years, you can use our new follow-up data page to enter data about these students. Let's first talk about the site-specific page. You've probably seen this page on the website. It's the icon on the student data page that's all the way over to the right-hand side of the screen. If you click on it, the site-specific page will open up to a page that has 23 text boxes that accepts both letters and numbers. You can use any field on this site-specific page. You just need to instruct your teachers on which fields they should use. You don't have to tell IDEC you're using these fields, so you don't have to send an email to the help desk saying, "Hi IDEC, is it okay if I use the site-specific fields?" You can just go ahead and start using them. You don't have to tell us about them. And then at the end of the school year, your data gets returned in your data dump. And you'll find them in columns FT through GP in the spreadsheet that is your data dump. For kids who are from previous school years, you can enter follow-up data for them using our follow-up data page. The first thing that you or your teachers do is that you can select on the student data page, you can select a previous school year. You will see a school year drop-down box just to the left of the list of students. So just select a previous school year, and then what will happen is the page will go and it'll display the list of students from the previous school years, and you'll notice now that there will be a follow-up data page where teachers can enter data. Teachers will only see students that they served in the past. Teacher leaders will see every student that has been served in a site in the past. So the follow-up data questions are grouped together in grades. For each grade, there is 7 questions. Each set of questions asks whether or not the child was retained in that grade. There are text boxes where you can enter up to the names of 3 standardized tests and their scores. So for example, box number 2, you would enter the name of a standardized test in there. Box number 3, you would enter in the score for that standardized test. Box number 4, you would enter the name of a second standardized test. Box number 5, you would enter the score on that second standardized test. Box number 6, you would enter the score of a third standardized test. And then finally, box 7 could be used to enter the third score of a standardized test. So each grade looks like this, and you can enter data going all the way up to 12th grade. Those text boxes are alphanumeric, so they will both accept text and numbers. That way, if you have a test that gives scores back and using words like above average or proficient, you can write that in there. Or if it gives a raw score, say like 62, you could enter a raw score in those fields as well. Once your teachers have entered data on those follow-up data pages, you can get your follow-up data back in a data dump. When you select a previous school year on the student data page, a data dump button will appear next to it. You just click the data dump button. This will cause our data system to run a data dump on demand. You'll get a confirmation message on the screen that the data dump was inserted into the queue for processing, and then you should get an email shortly that says the data dump is ready to download. And it usually takes a few seconds for the data dump to complete. Once you open up the data dump with the new follow-up data, you'll find that follow-up data in columns FY to IW. If you need to look at a video to see how to get to the follow-up data or give it to your teachers so they can learn how to get to the follow-up data, here it is. It's about 5 minutes long. Alright, so there are some limitations to the free methods of collecting data on the website. The first being is that IDEC can't customize it for you. We won't be able to display drop-down boxes, checklists, or bulleted lists. What you see is what you get. We can't enforce extra data validation, so the website will accept anything that is entered. So if somebody types in the word puppy, the website will accept the word puppy. We can't require data, so if you have places where teachers, you want them to make sure that they fill out data, we can't do this with the free versions. And then we can't generate tables or charts automatically. You would have to pay IDEC extra to do this, or if you have spare time, do it yourself. So we've talked about our free methods. Now let's talk about one of our not free methods. IDEC has integrated into our website a customizable survey system. This survey system works something like SurveyMonkey, if you've ever used that, where you can design surveys. You can type out questions, and then you can say that this question has these drop-down boxes or these options that people can select from. The difference being is that the survey system we've developed to work with the IDEC website, and we have a set of tools to use to do that. So just to get a quick definition, what is a survey? A survey is a list of questions and possible answers. So here's an example. You see a survey with a list of questions, and then on this one a lot of drop-down boxes, but the possible answers to those questions. Let's talk about cost real quick. We have 2 levels of cost for the survey system. The first level, for one survey, we can return results in a data dump, and that's $500 per survey for the first year that you do a survey with us. If you do more than 1 year with us, the subsequent years are only $250 per survey. So it takes more work to bring a survey online, but then maintenance of the survey as years goes on is much easier. We also have another level to our survey system where you can, for each survey, we'll return the results in a data dump, and also we will work with you to create a custom designed report. The first year for this, each survey is $1,000, and then subsequent years will be $500 per survey. Once again, with the first year requiring the most work, and then maintenance of the survey is much easier as we go along. And your report can contain both tables and charts. We can even support the large projects. So if you have something that's going, price and project deliverables can be negotiated. If you're a teacher leader looking at this and looking at the prices here, there's probably a little bit of sticker shock. An individual site may not be able to afford $500 per survey or $1,000 per survey, depending on which level you want to go with. But maybe you can talk to your trainer, and you and some of your colleagues can do some data collection together and split the cost. So you all can pay a portion of either the $500 or the $1,000, whatever level you want to go with. So it's one strategy to try to make the cost of this more affordable. So why would you want to use our survey system? What is the benefit for the cost? Well, first of all, you get to design the questions and the responses. So no longer is it just text boxes on the screen that have the titles Extra Field 1 and Extra Field 2. You actually get to write out the questions and then tell IDEC what you want the responses to be. Responses can be in the form of a drop-down box. They can be text boxes where they can be either numeric or non-numeric responses. We can do dates. We can do bulleted lists. We can do check boxes to do the check all that apply. We can even do those open-ended text boxes where people can type in comments. And the best part about it is IDEC does the work. We program this all into our survey system for you. We run the data dumps for you. We work with you to design the report, but then we actually run the report and do all the hard work of generating it for you. So once again, an example of a survey. For each question on this one, each one has a set of answers in a drop-down box. This survey was just created by handing IDEC a paper version of the survey, and we just programmed it into our survey system. The other thing that the survey system can do for you is validations. We can require questions. We can put numeric validations on answers, meaning that we can make sure people enter numeric values in certain ranges, like 0 to 30. We can even add conditional logic to your survey. So if someone answers this question, then require this question. If someone answers that question, then disable these set of questions. So this way, the survey system is working hard for you to make sure that you're getting nice, clean data. We can also target surveys. So meaning that we can show surveys to only those people who should get the survey. We can push surveys out to teachers in an entire state, to an entire UTC, one or more different sites, to a specific school, to a specific school district, or a specific set of school districts, and so on and so forth. So if you're doing some research together with a site or multiple school districts, we can target these surveys right where you need them. And it doesn't cost any extra for us to target something to an entire state than targeting something at just a specific school. Who we target it to doesn't affect the price. And then finally, when we deploy your survey, it appears on the student page right on the website, usually at the far left-hand side of the screen. Your teachers will just see the right-hand side of the screen. Your teachers will just see some additional columns added on to the right-hand side of the student data page. Another not free method we have available to us is called integrated voice response. And simply this is collecting data using automated phone surveys. We have a partnership with a local technology company that has this IVR system. It's a highly customizable solution, and when it collects data from a phone call, it can send that data to IDEC's data systems. So it can talk to our data systems. Now, since the solutions are customizable here, the cost depends on what you want, but it's safe to assume that to use a system like this is probably going to cost somewhere about $1,000 per year. So let's do a quick comparison of the methods here. So costs. Free methods, they're free. They don't cost anything. The not free methods, they cost some money. Both methods give you a data dump when you're ready to get them. The free method does not give you any reports. You'll have to pay extra for those. And the not free methods, depending on which product you include, may or may not include a report. The free methods are not customizable, but the not free methods are very customizable. With the free methods, unless you pay IDEC to do some of the work, you will be the person responsible for doing all of the work. With the not free methods, that work gets shifted over to IDEC. Both methods can collect reliable data. The not free method may take more of your time monitoring data as it has been entered, whereas the not free method we can add in these validations and requirements and conditional logics to really enforce some data collection rules. And then both methods, IDEC stores the data, so you won't have to worry about where you're going to put it or keep it. We've got it for you and you can get to it. If you have any questions, please feel free to contact me here, and I thank you for watching this video on how to use the IDEC website to collect your own research data.